Hey, it was good, y'all. Welcome back. Today we're gonna be reacting to Casual Geographic. I never watched any of the videos or react to them, so this is my first time watching it with y'all. So without further ado, let's get into it. Why are you running?
Why are you running? Why are you running?
Look at Rocket. That's lit. I ain't gonna just kind of lit.
Spooky season. You knew this was coming. We're always talking about all
W
the ways
Black.
nature and the things in it can put you on a shirt, but we never talked about how diseases can have animals permanently parallel to the ground. So that's
Is
what this
that-
video
is it
Never
shedding?
talked about how diseases can have animals
What is
permanently
that?
parallel to the ground. So that's what this video is. Animal diseases
That is
that are rated
disgusting.
R for the
What-
regret I feel
That looks like a mythical
when I
creature,
see
bro.
what
What? That's
researching them has
disgusting.
done in my
That's
search
nasty.
history. And of course, viewer discretion is very much advised, especially for disease number 1. What's a Halloween video without a jump scare? This photo was taken just outside the Caribbean Bay Hotel
a
in
naked
Zimbabwe of what
monkey.
appears to be a hairless baboon.
Baboon.
The deep-mounted primate appeared to be an outcast, only
I
following her
don't
troop
even
from
know what a
distance,
baboon looks like. I ain't gonna hold you. So I thought that was a monkey.
almost as if she had been rejected for her appearance. And according to a nearby vet, the most likely cause for this abandoned baboon's condition, mange. Mange is a nasty looking disease caused by
They really be
parasitic mites
going through it in
burrowing
the
into
wild,
skin, where
bro.
collected feces can cause severe allergic reactions and an unbearable amount of itching.
That's me. That's me on the couch. Watching the game, that's me. Be
That's
chilling.
why the main calling card of mange is
I don't be
turning
scratching
animals
that
into
hard,
the
chill
most
out.
down bad version of themselves. And while the word mangy is usually an insult reserved for dogs, these mites can be a certainty from anything from foxes to bears to
That's a
porcupines.
bear?
These mites can be a certainty from anything from foxes to bears
That's a bear. That is wrinkled. That looks disgusting. I ain't gonna hold you.
to porcupines, occasionally birds like eagles, and many, many more. In fact, the legend of the chupacabra was more than likely jump-started by a severely mited-up coyote. And in 1996, there was an outbreak of sarcoptic mange that gripped
Planet of the
mountain
Apes.
gorillas in Uganda, even expiring one of their babies. The mites themselves aren't a death sentence, but they slowly weaken the target, making them much more vulnerable to infections. And they can easily spread, especially if you're a wombat whose burrow mates with a walking mite mosh pit. The mites are so persistent that in Pennsylvania, a black bear with more than 50%
Yo,
hair
imagine
loss
imagine you hiking or something, bro. And you see that. You know how scary that would be? That's that's
cause, and not only
that
is
make
it
my
retired
skin
from
crawl, bro.
life,
That's
it's
disgusting.
Also incinerated, so the past tense bear can't possibly infect any others. And yes, mange is zoonotic, meaning it can be passed on from animals to humans, and when that happens, it's called scabies. To be fair, it's normally easy to treat in people, but those with weak immune systems or those taking immunosuppressants can find themselves gatekept from a life of comfort. There's also Demodex mites, which shack up in hair follicles, and even a couple species that make their home in the human eye. So yeah, mange just might be the most aesthetically upsetting ailment here. The polar opposite of the next disease, because where mange is visually visceral, zoochosis is almost purely psychological.
How is it
You've
called?
probably heard of the condition
Zoochosis.
where animals in captivity do the same thing over and over with no goal or purpose.
that's probably
almost
why they call
like
it
they're in a
that.
trance. And one of the most popular examples of this are those videos of elephants swaying back and forth. Except zoochosis is much more than that. Of course, you have your swaying and almost neurotic pacing around their enclosure, but the zoochosis signature
really 'cause they
also
stuck in the
includes
zoo, that's why they
excessive
call it that,
grooming,
probably.
personal punishment like self-biting and self-mutilation, turning puke into an infinite food glitch,
Ew.
and coprophagia, even in animals that wouldn't normally do it. But the disturbing part is, like mange, it's believed that zoochosis can also be contagious. If an animal is housed next to one exhibiting the stereotypes associated with it, chances are that same animal will too.
Monkey see, monkey do, man. That's probably where they got it from. Monkey see, monkey do. Probably not, but it's a
Captive
reference.
psychosis is likely triggered by a lack of stimulation and enrichment, and it's more common in higher intelligence animals, especially those that would normally have a wider range. Elephants checking both boxes is likely why 40% of captive turned pachyderms show symptoms of zoochosis. Orcas are one of the smartest non-human creatures alive and can travel well over 40 miles a day for food. And almost a year ago today, in 2022, a captive orca named Hugo tragically resigned from reality after violently
Resigned
slamming
from
into a
reality
stable
is
wall until he suffered a life-ending aneurysm.
Why he say it like that? Resigned from reality? Why he say that, bro? I ain't wanna laugh. Chill.
from reality after violently slamming into his tank wall until he suffered a life-ending aneurysm. And in 2005, a
They
mother
be sub. It's
monitoring
cause we
baboon
be keeping them. We be keeping them in a cage, bro. They go crazy. That's why I think that's why this one is like this. Cause they be going crazy in the cage. Not supposed to be in the cage.
her baby so
They be going
excessively that
crazy.
he looked like he came out
Losing
the
their
womb beefing with
mind.
wizards. To be fair, we can't really prove that this was Zoochosis working overtime.
That look like a
But we're going
drawing.
to Mr. Clean Cut. That ain't a fade, it's a flea. But the most popular and
Got
probably
the
most depressing
George
case of
Jefferson.
Zoochosis was Gus. Gus was a polar bear that lived in Central Park Zoo for 25 years. At one point, visitors and keepers noticed that Gus would spend all day swimming in figure eights, sometimes for up to 12 hours straight. Keep in mind
don't got
that
nowhere to
polar bears can cover
go.
nearly 50 miles in a day searching for seals. Not only did the zoo spend 25 grand on therapy for the bear,
20
Gus went on to make history as the very first zoo animal to be put on Prozac. Speaking of which, the 25,000 bones of behavioral therapy basically amounted to the therapist saying, "It be like that." This isn't an anti-zoo video or me trying to morally grandstand to y'all. I think zoos have the potential for a lot of good and a lot of bad. It's just that the bad can lead to a chronically pilled out polar
The
bear.
bad is way worse than the good. The good part, the only good thing is that they're not in the wild, but they supposed to be in the wild because that's their habitat. They're not supposed to be caged up.
Wait, it gets darker because
Or a
with
show
how far removed
for
humans
people
have
to
gotten
watch
from
them.
nature, there's a legitimate fear that humanity as a whole could be suffering from zoochosis on a global scale.
Facts.
That joke about us being no different than ants stuck in a death spiral
We-
becomes less
social
and less
media
of a
really
joke
made us
as
like
time
this.
goes on.
Group thinking, hive
Do you
mind. That's
remember
what
the
we
Will
be
Smith
doing.
Movie I Am Legend. You know, before his wife publicly neutered him and then smoked both his family jewels in 2-packs.
R.P. Will, man, used to be a goat, now he a joke.
With a doctor attempting to re-engineer the measles virus in an attempt to find a cure for cancer, instead infecting 99% of the human race. A pretty good example.
That was
of what
my
can happen
movie,
when
though.
Humans try to play God with the natural order. Another example is what happened in Florida, specifically Silver Springs State Park. It's Florida's very first tourist attraction, famous for having a couple Tarzan movies shot there. And in the 1930s, tourboat operator Colonel Toohey was looking for a way to spice up his jungle cruise ride. So he brought in 6 Reese's macaques and had them placed on a small island in the park.
Why?
And it was at this moment they f***ed up. Apparently, nobody involved was told that the monkeys could swim, and the moment they touched down on dry land, the macaques proceeded to swim out to the mainland. And following lots of multiplying without a calculator, there are now currently hundreds of roving
You know how
macaques.
scared
A good
of
number
you
them
just on a boat ride, you see something flying. What is this? A fucking monkey that could swim.
carrying
I would
a
be
deadly
tight.
herpes virus. Herpes B is
Carrying
an
herp-
incapacitating condition that can cause severe brain inflammation, permanent neurological damage, and a permanent lease in a casket-shaped condo. Now, fear-mongering aside, the chances of catching it from a monkey are incredibly rare, but not rare enough to be zero. In 1997, a researcher was working with Reese's when she was splashed in the eye by indeterminate fluids.
Bro, that
Even
looks
after immediately
scary.
flushing her eye out for several minutes, the 22-year-old died December 10th, 1997,
Dang, RIP.
almost exactly 6 weeks after first being exposed. According to the Center of Disease Control, since 1932,
looks like a
there have
Paranormal
been
Activity
51
scene.
cases of
This looks
people being
scary, I ain't
infected
gonna
with the
hold
B
you.
virus, with 21 deaths and an 80% mortality rate for those untreated. That
I'm
same
so
fatal
ill.
virus is currently being backpacked
I can't watch
by up
scary
to a quarter
movies.
of the hundreds of macaques running around the Sunshine State. Worse, it's believed they shed the potent virus through their saliva. So far, there's no known case of one of these Marion County monkeys passing off the virus to a human. The problem is, the monkeys have managed to lose their natural fear of humans, and there was even one incident where the park had to be shut down after a family was threatened and chased by an especially malicious macaque. It's the worst kind of invasive, and it's 100% our fault, and although the virus peddling primates haven't caught a human body, it's definitely one of those
Bro,
cases of F
why
around
pop
and
up like
find
that,
out.
yo?
One of the
Stop
most
trying to jump
unsettling
scare me,
diseases
gang.
in nature is a sickness that affects deer, known as chronic wasting disease, called so because it essentially destroys the animal from the inside out. In fact, this type of disease is a transmissible spongiform encephalopathy, a name that literally comes from the fact that it causes several sponge-like holes in the brain. It's like the forbidden final boss of trypophobia, and it's caused by a single misfolded protein known as a prion. This prion triggers a chain reaction where the only outcome is a canceled life subscription, and the only thing the
Yo,
victim can do is
chill.
wait for the sweet release of death. Here's what the end game of a deer with
Calling death
CWD looks
every
like.
other name
It
but
starts
death.
with a misfolded protein affecting and altering perfectly normal proteins. It's almost like a cellular level cheese touch, and the moment it starts, it's already over. Step 2 includes the prions exploding in numbers exponentially and accumulating in the body, the whole time the deer, elk, or moose looks and acts perfectly normal. The deer can walk around with this disease for 2 whole years before the chronic becomes critical. Eventually, it escalates to the point where
I
the
did almost
prions
run
manage to
into a
break into the
deer
blood-brain
like
barrier.
a month ago, bro. Like I drove past it and then it like went behind me. I didn't even see it, but that shit scared me.
Where they start destroying neurons, putting
Because I'm
enough
not
holes in the
trying
brain
to
get
run
it
into
cursed
a
out
deer
by
and
an
wreck my
octopus,
car.
and slowly wasting the poor, unexpecting deer. Deer with CWD seem unable to process anything around them, including danger, and if predators are playing freeze tag on the freeway
I be
doesn't
feeling
take them off
bad
the senses,
sometimes.
they die a slow and painful
It's like
death to
once
starvation
shit
as
like
their
this
brains
happen, they
shut
can't do
down.
nothing about
The
it.
worst part is, the nightmare doesn't end once the deer does, since the prions responsible can exist in an area years after the victim, and can even be absorbed by plants in contaminated soil.
What?
That's assuming they don't just leach into groundwater. In fact, the only surefire way to eliminate a prion is literally that. Fire. Except, it's not as simple as cremating a casualty. That'd be too easy. It's said that it takes heat at a minimum of 900 degrees Fahrenheit or 482 degrees Celsius to properly pack up a prion, and some sources say to hike that up to 1800 to be
So
safe.
how does it
But
go
the part that
away?
makes prions one of the most horrific things not native to a horror movie is where they come from. It's believed there are 3 main factors that cause prion diseases. Genetics play a relatively small part, with only 10 to 15% of cases in people being attributed to them. The second and by far most common cause is the disease being sporadic. Basically, that just means that not even science can fully explain where they come from, but that it's like it happens out of nowhere. And the third is an infected deer contaminating something like a water source or a feeding station with body
I'll be
fluids and
tired,
passing it
bro.
off to the next. And remember, not only can prions insist on existing years after the fact, keep in mind that most infected deer look no different
Imagine like that's why I don't drink off nobody. Even though they probably don't got, I don't drink off nobody. I'm gonna be mad. A deer drink from it now. Everybody sick.
from any other, right until it's time to disconnect from interface eternally. That means that the 3 main causes of wasting disease are completely RNG, and that is remarkably terrifying. And it's not just deer that can get packed up by prions. There's mad cow disease in cattle, and scrapie in sheep. Named after the
Scrapie?
fact that it can cause them to compulsively rub up against things like fence posts until they literally scrape their wool off. There's
They
even a
itching
human
that
equivalent,
much?
Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. And while there's no known reports of a human ever catching CWD, specialists have warned that with the thousands of CWD infected animals eaten by people a year, there's growing
That's
concern that the
giraffe?
disease may eventually be transmitted to people. But maybe it's still a lot better than the last, and in my opinion, the most horrific disease in this video. Because not only is rabies one of the harshest death sentences nature can serve, it is 100% transmissible to humans. Rabies is said
Rabies
to
is
bury nearly
disgusting.
60,000 people a year, and since the most common way to get it is through dog bites, it's the worst
That's
in
why
places with a high
that's
stripe
why I don't want no pets. If that shit had rabies in it bite me, I'm gonna be mad. I'm gonna be tired.
population, which is why
It was a
India,
movie about rabies. The only scary I don't watch scary movies. That's like one of the only scary movies. It's called Quarantine. That movie was kind of hot. That movie was kind of hard. That movie was about like they caught rabies and had to be quarantined. Basically 2020. If you know, you know. You feel me?
country that
But it wasn't
criminalizes working
rabies, though,
stray
but
dogs
the movie
has
was about rabies.
20,000 names crossed off the census a year by rabies, and it's children that are especially at risk, with about 40% of deaths coming from those 15 years old or younger. Here's what it's like to be turned into a statistic by rabies. It starts with the virus entering the peripheral nervous system, usually through a bite. Then it travels inside you through nerves until it reaches part of the central nervous system, or the spinal cord. From there, it's a straight shot directly to the brain, and at this point, you can start drafting your will, cause ain't no way. While you can treat the virus before it reaches the brain, once it does, you're almost guaranteed to become a WUS. The virus then multiplies, then spreads throughout the body, slowly killing you from the brain out. But the underrated and truly sinister aspect of rabies is how it seemingly rewires your brain for its own purposes. One of the telltale signs of rabies is a crippling fear of water, where just the sight or suggestion of it can cause incredibly painful spasms in the throat
This
and
low-key
larynx.
scary, bro.
At the same time, the virus attacks the salivary gland, glands, causing excessive drooling and the foaming at the mouth the disease is famous for. And that's because the virus is most concentrated in the mouth, and swallowing or drinking water would dilute it. So the hydrophobia
Yeah, you
helps keep
really
the mouth
can't
and
drink
all the nastiness
water?
inside as potent as possible. And that's not the only way rabies manipulates its mark. There's believed
I
to
would
be
be
three
I would be
stages of
done. All I
rabies in
drink is
animals.
water.
You got the
All
prodromal
I
stage,
drink is
and that's where
water.
the animal might start showing minor changes in behavior. And then you got the phase likely everyone associates with rabies, the
Chill.
excitative stage. It's been called furious rabies since it's characterized by heightened aggression and random outbursts of violence. Animals that would normally be wary of people, such as foxes, can attack completely out of nowhere with bites. And remember, being a water bigot just makes that bite that much more toxic.
Yo, she's
And then
fighting
there's
for her
bites.
life,
And remember,
bro.
being a water
This look
bigot
like
just makes that
squirrels in my Candace, Phineas and Ferb, squirrels in my fans. That look like
bite
her.
that much more toxic. And then
She's
there's a paralytic
struggling.
or dumb stage where the animal appears unaware and disconnected from the world around it. This is where you might see a normally introverted mammal show zero fear in humans. But don't be fooled, they're still liable to bite to serve the virus's purpose. The nightmare usually ends with the animal flatlining to respiratory arrest as its body finally just gives up. And your fate is almost no better if you're a human, since rabies has one of the highest KD ratios of
Yo,
any
that's
disease, even
wild,
though it's also
bro.
one of the oldest. It flexes a nearly
Imagine
100%
just seeing that on the
fatality rate, but
street.
nearly means there's still a chance. In 2004, 15-year-old Gina Giese contracted rabies after being infected by a bat, and the moment she started experiencing symptoms,
bat?
she was, statistically speaking,
Where do bats be? How do you encounter a bat? I don't think I've ever seen a bat. I don't want to see one either. I don't want to see a bat. I've seen owls before. I better not see a
a
bat.
walking corpse. Dr. Willoughby, who had studied up on
Damn.
rabies, figured their last chance was to put the teenager in a coma in a last-ditch effort to save her brain and give her body a reasonable chance to fight off the virus. About a week after she was induced, Gina miraculously started producing rabies antibodies, and after Euro-stepping death,
Yeah,
she
she's
would go through the
aged.
grueling rehab of
Oh, in
relearning
that
how to
picture, she
walk,
looked
talk, and even stand.
regular in
Even
that
when you're-
picture.
She would go through the grueling rehab of relearning how to walk, talk, and even
Damn,
stand.
you gotta restart
'Cause even when
life.
you're lucky, it ain't easy being Geezy. She became the first person
Come
to
on,
ever
bro,
survive
that
the
was
rabies
cheesy.
virus without a vaccination, and even went on to start a family. But don't get it twisted. The Milwaukee protocol that saved her has been used on 41 people, and only 6 have survived. The ones that do still run the
6.
risk of waking up severely disabled, which is the best you can do when negotiating with death, since that's exactly
That's
what
so
treating rabies
scary,
is.
bro.
It's a horrifically debilitating disease, and even though it takes about 1 to 3 months to show symptoms after being infected, there have been cases of people walking around with the virus for 7 years. At the same time, if the
7?
virus manages to invade you close enough to your brain, you can easily be down bad less than a week after being exposed. With a virtually 100% kill rate and the thousands that lose their lives to it a year, it's definitely
keep
one
me
of the
away
most
from animals,
unforgiving
gang.
viruses out there, which is why the greatest basketball player of all time isn't Michael Jordan, LeBron James, or even Kobe Bryant. It's Manu Ginobili, because during a Spurs-Kings game in 2009,
That
the
was
bat managed
so
to find its way
random.
inside the arena, causing everyone to immediately panic, until the 6'5" Argentinian backhanded the bat and put it out of commission, and proceeded.
That's how you know nigga got no fears, bro. I'm running. I'm by the bench. I'm by the locker room. I'm gone. Like get
to
that
help
bat
lead
away
his
from
team
me.
to a 20-point win, along with a victory by TKO against the Bat. One man managed to potentially solo one of the deadliest viruses of all time, and he wasn't even a starter. And you'll never guess what day this happened. Yeah, that's right. Happy Halloween.
What?
And stay
Oh,
safe
Halloween?
out there.
WW Batman. And Ginobili the Batman. I don't feel like reading those. I ain't gonna hold you. But they're never zero. Yeah, I'm contracting, baby. Yeah. Keep me away. Keep me away from animals, gang. I'm not trying to catch none of these disease. I'm mad cow. All of them, get them away from me, man. Well, appreciate y'all if y'all stay to the end. You feel me? A little interesting. Casual Geographic. Let me know if y'all still want me to keep reacting to these ones. He got a whole bunch more, so just let me know. Follow these links in the description, man. And I'll catch y'all in the next one, man. Jersey.